If you think luxury cars under 40 grand disappeared faster than your retirement account after a bad stock tip, I've got good news. In 2026, there are still 5 luxury cars you can buy without selling a kidney, refinancing your dog, or moving into the parents' basement. And surprisingly, a few of them are actually pretty good. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. The Acura Integra is proof that sometimes old recipes work. As viewer Mark Velarde says, we want all vehicles to be more affordable, the car market still needs to normalize, and poorly made cars shouldn't sell. Acuras, Hondas, they're great vehicles. Acuras are well made and reliable. We need a whole lot more of that. Base price. Of course, at $39,000 Canadian, much less on the US market, they're equipped in base form. The Integra first arrived in 1986 and quickly became one of the most respected sport compact luxury cars ever built. The modern Integra returned for the 2023 model year after a long hiatus and absence. Today's model is built in Marysville, Ohio, USA, and alongside other Acura products. Interesting technical fact about Integra is it remains one of the very few entry-level luxury cars still offering a manual gearbox. You got to pull those gears because apparently Acura understands some people still enjoy driving instead of just updating the software. You know, you do get a decent powertrain. It's not necessarily their best, but the 1.5-liter turbocharged inline-4, not as good as the upscale 2-liter, but that costs a lot more money. But the 1.5 is the internal designation Honda K20 C8, the family derivative architecture with the Integra using the L15 CA turbocharged VTEC engine configuration. All of this mumbo-jumbo produces 200 horsepower, 190 pound-feet of torque, and comes with a base CVT automatic transmission. I would avoid this one like the plague. They're not the worst in the industry, but when you have a 6-speed manual gearbox available, it's a much better opportunity. It's 30 miles per gallon in the city, 37 mpg on the highway. This engine isn't huge, but neither is your mortgage and payment on this thing. Some of the benefits: of course, it has outstanding reliability, huge hatchback practicality, and an excellent fuel economy that you can be proud of. Some of the drawbacks: unfortunately, interior shares plenty of the parts with the Civic. It feels a little dressed down, a little plasticky, and quite honestly doesn't inspire a lot of those luxury car lovers. The CVT isn't that great either, and it's a little buzzy, and road noise is a little bit noisy. It would be nice to have something a little bit quieter, more toned down. The reliability of these vehicles, the Integra, is about a 9 out of 10. Consumer Reports and Honda's long-term reputation place the Integra among the most dependable luxury compacts available. Some of the issues you could expect: of course, adaptive damper failures. Yeah, those fail. Rare with higher mileage, but they can cost anywhere from $1,000 to about $1,800. The second issue with these: sometimes infotainment glitches. $200 to $1,200. Is it a programming update or maybe a hardware wholesale change? And either of them is going to cost you some cash. Nothing catastrophic, but typical modern day car stuff. You know, like glitchy electrical stuff that everybody's kind of complaining about these days. Every car has it. Depreciation in 5 years: not bad. 39 grand for a new car. After 5 years, it's still worth 24 to 26,000, so it's pretty solid. It's going to hold a lot of your value and put that money back in the bank. Alternative: if you don't necessarily want this, a great option if you got an extra $5,000 to spend, maybe look at the 26 Genesis G70 2.5T. A little more power, rear-wheel drive platform, much nicer interior. Basically the Korean luxury sleeper that nobody talks about. The Tesla Model 3 remains the car equivalent of arguing on the internet. And viewer Vag Duong says, Tesla is garbage and a used Tesla is junk. And honestly, that comment section sort of writes itself, doesn't it? Approximately $38,600 on the used car market before incentives. You know what? Introduced way back in 2017, it's been a while already. The Model 3 transformed the EV market and became one of the best-selling electric vehicles in history. Most North American examples are built in Fremont, California, while global production also comes from Shanghai and Berlin. Interesting fact, though, about Tesla: eliminated hundreds of traditional vehicle components through software integration and centralized computing. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, but actually I do. Nobody likes electronics and laptops running your cars, do they? Which is great until the screen decides it's taking a day off. The powertrain: motor, Yeah, it gives you a single rear drive electric motor. The internal designation is the Tesla Permanent Magnet Rear Drive Unit. Produces 286 horsepower, gives you a whopping 310 pound-feet of torque, and we know these electric drives give you lots of torque. A real seat in the pants, kick in the rump. The single speed reduction gear, very simple, very robust. It approximately gives you, in the optimal conditions, when you don't have snow and ice and minus 30, if it's perfect Florida type weather, 320 miles of range. You do get 130 mpge combined. And of course, acceleration, nothing short of breathtaking, with a 0 to 60 mile per hour of 5.8 seconds. It definitely has some pretty blistering acceleration. Outstanding efficiency are some of the pros, along with excellent technology and strong performance. Drawbacks of these Tesla Model 3s? The build quality. We've heard of the paint problems, issues with quality control, panel gaps, electronic gremlins, and of course, repair costs can be high. And because apparently buttons were a threat to humanity, that just seems to be an issue for most drivers these days. Reliability. 7.5 out of 10. Not amazing. The battery and motor reliability are generally strong, but it's the quality control issues that we see with a lot of these Teslas. Common issues: suspension component wear, ball joints, bearings, bushings, all those parts start to wear out. The vehicles are heavy, so they really puts a lot of strain on these parts. $1,500, $2,000, yeah, typical repair costs. The second issue would be related to the typical door handle failures, electronic module failures. $300 to $1,500. And you see that little cool little Tesla mobile show up at your doorstep, and he fixes it right on your driveway sometimes. Depreciation in 5 years? At $38,600 new car price. After 5 years, $18,000 to $22,000 value, you've lost a fair amount of money. Tesla depreciation has become a full contact sport, and if you're thinking maybe actually you've got a second thought, maybe something else. For $5,000 more, maybe step into a 26 Hyundai Ioniq 6. Better build quality, excellent range, and gorgeous efficiency. No one asks you about Elon at every gas station either. The next one in line, of course, is a great little hot rod. The Bavarian Motor Works, of course, BMW 228i Grand Coupe. The quality quietly sits in the lineup. While everyone argues about M cars, and viewer December says you forgot the two Grand Coupe 228-3 and the 235 B48, and both great cars. Same with the X1 and X2. Fair point. Yeah, I would agree with that. Approximately $39,500 is the price of these vehicles brand new. And BMW launched the 2 Series Grand Coupe back in 2020 as an entry-level luxury sedan. We know what else happened back those days too. Unlike traditional BMW sedans, it rides on BMW's UKL2 front-wheel drive architecture. Production takes place in Leipzig, Germany, and interesting facts about the 228 is it uses one of BMW's most respected modern engines, which is impressive because BMW engines used to come with a complimentary warning light. These vehicles come with a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4. This time they're transversely mounted because it's front-wheel drive versus the longitudinal for most BMWs. The internal designation is the B48A2002, and the horsepower output's about 241 horsepower with 295 pound-feet of torque, mated up and sandwiched to a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. I love these transmissions. They definitely work a little cleaner than Mercedes-Benz and the CLA and their DCTs. The fuel economy is about 26 miles per gallon. On the highway, you're getting about 36 mpg. Some of the wins here are strong acceleration, very brisk, excellent transmission, very drivable, and ergonomically happy. Makes you feel comfortable driving. Premium cabin materials, feels better than a lot of the competition. The downside, sadly, of course, there's always that to talk about. Not really your traditional rear-wheel drive BMW, and true enthusiasts are going to scoff at this. Maybe give it to your daughter instead. Rear seat space is somewhat limited, and options get kind of pricey. BMW options are basically financial jump scares. Reliability of these vehicles? 8 out of 10. The B48 engine has proven to be one of BMW's most durable modern-day power plants. With that said, there are some issues. Cooling system leaks, water pumps, thermostats, and even those snap-together hoses. Sometimes you see the speckles of white under the hood. You've probably got a leak. Repair costs anywhere from $600 to $2,000. Another issue? Electronic sensor failures. No shortage of sensors in modern day cars. Repair cost from $250 to $1,500. And depreciation in 5 years for these 228 Grand Coupes, you're looking at about $39,500 as an initial price, dropped all the way down to $19,000 to a range of 22 grand after 5 years. That hurts. Maybe you're looking for something else. You decide, you know what, you're willing to step it up another 5 grand. You can go for a CLA 250 by Mercedes-Land for 2026. You do get a more upscale feel, a stylish design, strong turbo performance, basically Instagram on wheels. Caution though, fit and finish is a little fragile, and honestly, not my personal favorite from my experience. The CLA looks great, but how does it hold up? That's another time. The next one in line, of course, is a 26 Audi A3. This continues proving you don't need 6 figures to get 4 rings of despair. I mean, the 4 rings on the grill. The ZPP 6304 viewer says, I think I'm going to just keep my 20 Camry for a little longer. Honestly, that's probably the financial responsible move, and where there's the fun in that. I agree. Sometimes you need a little stress in your life just to know that you're alive, right? At a price tag of 39 grand brand new, the Audi A3 debuted at 1996 and became Audi's gateway entry luxury vehicle. North American versions are assembled in Ingolstadt, Germany, and interesting facts is the A3 shares its MQB platform with numerous Volkswagen Group products, which means its luxury engineering and corporate cost-cutting holding hands. The powertrain gives you that 2-liter turbocharged inline 4. Internal designation of that is the EA888, the Gen 4. We know the early generations, oil consumption, timing chains piling up, and a whole host of coolant and oil leaks. They've gotten a little better. But these feature now 201 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque, and a 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch gearbox. Absolutely great gearbox. One of my favorites, actually. Fuel economy ranges from 29 miles per gallon in the city all the way up to almost 40 miles per gallon on the highway. Pros of these vehicles, you get a much better, more refined interior than pretty much all of its competition. Great technology. Their MMI system is the best, better than the iDrive system in BMW from my experience. And the efficient powertrain is actually very robust in the latest Generation 4. Some of the drawbacks is the tight rear seating. Of course, options become a little pricey, and the ride does feel a little firm and harsh at times. Reliability, not amazing. You know what? Most would range him at about 7.5 out of 10 reliability, primarily because that EA888. Although it's been somewhat enhanced, there are still some drawbacks. It has improved significantly, but there are some common problems like the water pump failures. You could expect to spend as much as $800 to $1,600 for that. More problems with related to ignition misfires, ignition coils. And I mean, a lot of that's maintenance. Most people would argue that's just maintenance tactics. Sure, a lot of it's just basic maintenance. But expect $300 to $800 when you start seeing those check engine lights and the associated misfire. Some of the 5-year value retention discussion, yeah, they kind of lose their value too. 39 grand when brand new. After 5 years, the average A3 by Audi drops down to a used car market value of $18,000 to $21,000. A pretty devastating blow, I might add. Honestly, if you're looking for something, you want to step up your game a little bit, and you're looking at the A3, but you're thinking, what is close to that? Have you thought about the 2026 Volvo S60 B5? Elegant styling, beautiful safety, comfortable highway cruiser. It's the luxury car equivalent of having your life together in order. Makes you feel like an adult, more responsible. But guess what? There's an absolutely amazing luxury vehicle you can still find for under 40 grand that is actually durable beyond a fault. It's a 26 Lexus UX300h. And finally, this is the number 1 spot for a reason. Viewer Dan Johnson says he loves his Lexus. Honestly, that's usually how Lexus ownership reviews go. Base price is $38,700 to $39,000 US and around $44,795 in Canadian dollars. Depending on the market, the UX300h produces 196 horsepower from its 5th generation hybrid system and returns about 42 to 50 miles per gallon, depending on the specification. The UX arrived way back in 2019 as Lexus's smallest crossover. Production takes place in Japan, which is a win. For 2026, it continues with the Lexus latest 5th generation hybrid technology. Interesting technical fact, this also combines a 2-liter gas engine with multiple motor generators and electronically controlled CVT. Total output's 196 horsepower, and it's basically the Toyota engineering after finishing graduation school. Yes, there's an additional level of refinement that you can't get from a Toyota Corolla. It does give you the 2-liter hybrid inline 4, and the internal designation is the M20A FXS. Produces 196 horsepower, made it up to the eCVT. Not to be confused with the Jatco trash you're finding with the Nissan and Infiniti products. No. This gives you the strength on the front. As you start off, it's not going to burn out the belts and pulleys. The eCVT is planetary gear system and much more robust. It does offer up 42 to 50 miles per gallon, and it's great in the fuel economy segment. And of course, some of the wins with these vehicles: exceptional reliability, great fuel economy, and premium build quality. There are some drawbacks. It's a Lexus, it's great, but it's not perfect. Tight rear seating, it's a small vehicle, modest cargo room, and it's not particularly sporty. It feels more like a Corolla on roids. This car's idea of excitement is achieving 50 miles per gallon. The reliability, of course, is rated at 9.5 out of 10, and that should not be of a shock. Among the most reliable luxury vehicles sold today, to be honest. Common issues: hybrid battery cooling fan maintenance. That might cost you $150 to $500, as opposed to a VAG product that has an engine rebuild after 60,000 miles. I'll take this. This is a pretty cheap price to pay. Wheel bearing replacements, $400 to $900. And a depreciation of these Lexus UX model in 5 years, when it was priced at $39K brand new, only $27,000 to $30,000 on the secondary market. It holds its value like it's not letting go, and it's definitely something you want to keep for a long period of time. The luxury car depreciation on easy mode, basically an alternative you can have if you're kind of thinking maybe it is a little boring and a little ho-hum. For 45 grand, not nearly the same quality, but a little bit more plush, you can step into a 26 Lincoln Corsair hybrid. It's comfortable, quiet, great highway cruiser, and it's essentially a luxury couch with license plates. Now, with that said, it's pretty obvious to me which one's the most reliable. I'd like to hear you drop a line down below which one you would actually pick. I know which one I would buy in this group, but I'll leave it up to you to tell me which one I should buy if I were to buy one of these today. With all of that said, check out these videos and these videos. That's my picks for those models and some of the best in the industry today. For 2026, you can't go wrong. Hope to see each and every one of you real soon and catch you on the flip side. See you then. Bye-bye.